I've been speaking about introducing our multi-asset proposition at Invesco. So it's called the Global Targeted Returns Fund, and it's a multi-asset portfolio that aims to target Euribor +5 over the long run with less than half the volatility of global equity. So it's really introducing that proposition to clients today. I think it's a huge growth sector, and I think there's a lot of focus on it because the last few years have been incredibly challenging for everyone who's been investing in any market around the world. And I think the key is really about how investors achieve diversification over time. So, what do you need to hold in your portfolio to try and dampen the volatility of your returns over the long run? And I think that's why people are really focusing in on these absolute return multi-asset type funds. But there are a lot of them coming to market, so really it's for investors to try and sift through them to see those that really can achieve that diversification profile throughout the cycle, and those that maybe don't have access to those return engines, etc. I think, what we try and do is not think about the world in asset classes. So over the long run and historically, everyone has tried to divide the world by equities and bonds and commodities and property, and we just think the world's a little bit more complicated than that, and there are other drivers. So what we've introduced to clients through this fund is the concept of investing in ideas. So don't worry about whether it's an equity idea or a bond idea, but just let's think about a good macro theme, a good macro idea. It might be interest rates in the US or currency in Japan, and think about the best way to get access to that idea so that you can generate returns for your fund throughout the cycle. So, if we don't like investment grade credit for a period of time, we don't have to hold it in the fund. There might be other ways that we think there are better ways of taking risks and better ways and higher conviction ways of generating returns for the fund.
Okay, great. And how you feel it has been received by the delegates?
It's been really positive actually today. I think, you can get it from two sides in terms of the questions that you get asked through the presentation. And I think people seem to have been genuinely interested in what we're doing and this whole approach, which is great. But also afterwards in more, general discussions about how to approach multi-asset. Everyone's been affected by the change in market dynamics over the last few years. But actually over the last 30 years, markets aren't static. And so at various points, people have had that challenge of how to get those lower volatility returns, but still participating as well. So I think everyone's interested in it. And there have been some great questions which have been asked, which reflect that. I think one of the key themes that's come up is, how you trust that you are getting that diversification in your portfolio. So if we're talking about investing in ideas, well, that's still hampered by the risks associated with the correlation between those ideas, even if it's not asset classes. So I've spent a lot of today talking about how we stress test and scenario test the portfolio to say, well, this is one view of the world, and if that plays out, then great. But what if the world changes significantly? Then we need to make sure we've got enough kind of capital preservation in the portfolio to cope with that. So a lot of the discussion has been around, how we do the scenario testing and how we make sure the portfolio is as robust as possible. So there have been a lot of questions around that and making sure people just want to understand what our approach is to that dilemma, if you like.
What is your impression in general on the conference?
It's been great, actually. It's been very, very well organised. The timing has been, stuck to more than probably any other conference I have been to, I think. So it's been really well organised, and I think there's been a great turnout in every meeting, and also there have been questions in every session as well. So there's been a nice mix of people who are willing to ask the questions, which I think when you're organising something is quite important to take note of, in terms of those people who will ask maybe and those who won't. So there have been questions, well organised, and seem to have been the right people in the rooms as well in terms of people who would be helpful for us. Invesco is very much a global firm. We sit in the UK where, it's a very different starting point. We're very, very well known in the UK. We're not well known in every single European country. So for us, it's really important that, we get access to those other areas. So I've spoken to clients today where I have not accessed clients in those countries before. So from that perspective, it's been great.